I have joining me Mr. Gary Griffith, who is our former Commissioner of Police, as well as the leader of the National Transformation Alliance. Now, as you know, we are in what we called or what we deem as the election year. And as the political leader of the National Transformation Alliance, a lot of things that we can discuss this morning. So we want to start off by asking, how is your party preparing for the upcoming election?
Hi, good morning, Tobago. Well, as all political parties should be doing, we are being very proactive. I think we are the only political party that has actually announced a candidate, that being myself, for the constituency of St. Joseph. You know, usually who wins St. Joseph will win the general election. If you lose St. Joseph, you're not going to win the election. So we have been so proactive that we are, I think, yes, the only political party that has so far announced a candidate and confirmed a candidate in a constituency. And we will continue to do the work that we need to do and just try to influence, and I use that word influence wisely, in that influence citizens to support a political party, not based on blind loyalty, being whatever till you die, or you're born this and you die that. That is certainly not going to help provide you with exactly what you require, and deservedly so, from a government.
Okay. And given the results of the local government election, how has your party shifted gears to prepare for the general election?
Well, you know, I always believe that if something is working, you do not need to fix it. We have always seen that strategic alliance in a general election has always proven to go in one direction, which is an annihilation of the PNM. In 1986, when the ONR and the ULF joined, along with A.N.R. Robinson's party from Tobago, it ensured an annihilation of the PNM 33-3. Same thing happened in 2010. When Ashra Jack's political party from Tobago joined with the UNC and the COP, it was again annihilation for the PNM. So along that line, that was 2912. If something is working, you do not need to fix it. Obviously, there will be certain principles that must be adhered to. We operate on certain principles. And with that, we would have seen the results in the local government election. That alliance ensured almost 60,000 votes more than the PNM. That means for every 5 persons who voted, 3 persons voted against the PNM. That is bad licks. So it shows that what we did there worked. We intend to operate as a political party, independent, of course, until there's some confirmation that there would be a similar alliance to ensure similar results in the general election next year.
And let's shift gears a bit to the crime situation that we're seeing happening in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, we haven't seen a huge change at all. What do you think the government needs to be doing at this time to really, because, you know, recently we saw that there was a committee within the parliament to fight crime, and not much has changed since then. So do you have any comments on this?
Oh, I have a lot. You have about 3 hours, but I'll try to bring it into 3 minutes. And that's what they do. They formed a regional symposium, wasted tens of millions of taxpayers' dollars over the last few years in all of these symposiums, audit committees, hiring their own investigators to do investigations, to come out with the findings that you want, hope that it will politically benefit you. Have all of these different committees involving civilians with no training, qualification, experience, or knowledge in the concept of criminology or law enforcement. You handpick persons in a police service commission that have absolutely, likewise, no knowledge or training in law enforcement, to select someone who actually got 30% less than other persons when they applied for commissioner of police by international experts. So the government, unfortunately, they've totally politicized the situation. I wish to advise Trinidad and Tobago that it can change. You would have seen the results. In my last year as commissioner of police, take away the state of emergency, take away that curfew. In my last year before that would have been May 2020 to May 2021. And we would have seen probably, I think it's about 350 murders for the year. And then after that, when there was still the state of emergency and the curfew under McDonald Jacob, who the PNM handpicked to replace me, we found the first and the third highest number of murders in any month in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. So during my last year, without a curfew or state of emergency, you had 350 murders on ratio per annum. And during the state of emergency and the curfew with McDonald Jacob, the average was over 700 per annum because we were, I think it was 59 in October and 72 in November. So it showed that we can do this, we can fix it. And this wasn't a Gary Griffith thing. This was me building a team of qualified persons in the concept of dealing with forensic testing, proper investigative capacity, dealing with the concept of cyber crime, technology, operational skill. And by doing that, we were able to implement over 100 major policies, plans, programs, technology that transformed the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Public trust and confidence was 14% in August 2018. When I left in August 2021, it went up to 59%. 1 year later, it went back down to 8%. So it showed that this thing can transform. The police service was transformed. People, there was, during the COVID pandemic, there was not one report or incident of police abusing their authority. Now, with nothing, with no COVID, daily you're getting these concerns. These are the same police officers, so it's not to blame them. So it shows that this can very well change. And again, going back to Tobago, I put a lot of work to make sure Tobago was as secure as it could have been. And Tobagonians felt safe. They never felt so safe because of the things that we put in place from the National Operations Center, the Commissioner's Command Center. We had a system of, I was actually setting up a proper 999 system. Do you know that if people call 999, that call goes to Trinidad in Tobago? So if in Tobago, you call 999, it goes to Trinidad, and then Trinidad knows to send back a message to Tobago station. By that time, the criminal has gone Lyman on Store Bay. So it shows the incompetence of this government in understanding how to secure Tobago. You have persons going on the port, and you have to walk through a scanner to make sure you do not have any illegal weapons or whatever. But cars can be driven onto the vessel without any checks and balances. So somebody could walk with 20 guns put on a vehicle and drive onto Tobago. And those are the things that I intend to put when the government changes next year. Lockdown Tobago. A safer Tobago means a safer Trinidad. And I'll tell you why. The more Tobago crime continues to increase, the more resources have to leave Trinidad to go to Tobago, which will now minimize the resources in Trinidad that will cause crime to also escalate. So once you lock down Tobago, it makes it easier for you to assist in securing Trinidad. And that ignorance and not understanding the importance of securing Tobago is by and large is what is causing the crime to escalate in Tobago. I give the assurance to Tobago that I intend to work assiduously to ensure that Tobago can be as safe as it can be. And this can very well be transformed within a few months.
We've seen the government announce that the United States narcotics and firearm officials would be in Trinidad for some crime talks. Do you see this being a means of improving crime in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, the U.S. are definitely not pleased with this Trinidad and Tobago government, especially with their close alliance with several countries that are not allies of the United States. So, I mean, unfortunately, the U.S. wants to get this government out, especially as it has affected the safety and security of citizens of the United States in Trinidad and Tobago. Their incompetence is mind-blowing. The U.S., again, because of working with me when I was Minister of National Security and Commissioner of Police, they were very pleased that it's the only time in history that a U.S. ambassador actually commended a commissioner of police or any official in Trinidad and Tobago for what was being done. That was the previous U.S. ambassador in Trinidad and Tobago, where he stated that Trinidad and Tobago was actually very fortunate when I was commissioner of police. This government changed that. So obviously it frustrated the life of the US. You cannot believe our government could be so petty, vindictive, and incompetent because of their political pettiness. So what the US is going to try to explain to Trinidad and Tobago government, they are not going to do. If you notice, what the Trinidad and Tobago government have done is every single statement they have made as it pertains to national security has to do with legal firearms. Their latest concept now is to ban legal firearms being used in places such as universities, schools, parliament, churches, banks. What they have done is basically tell the criminals, when it is somebody who has a firearm, he has to leave it at his home or leave it at his police station to go to the bank to deposit cash after he finishes business transactions for the day or leaving. You can take them out now because there's no fear of you being concerned. You can now make sure you can kidnap children when parents drop their children to school. When people go to church on a weekend or wherever at night, in a temple or mosque, wherever, you can now kidnap them or kill them because you know for sure they will not have a firearm. That is the stupidity of the PNM. That is how ignorant they are. And 99.9% of the 3,000 murders committed in the 9 years under the PNM by firearms have been by illegal firearms. So out of 3,000, you talk about 2,995 or 96 have been by illegal firearms, and they have not done one thing to assist in reducing the problem of illegal firearms. Over 95% of the illegal firearms that have entered the country have been by the legitimate ports of entry. So this is what the US is going to come to explain to them. But having the political will, the substance, the understanding, the proactivity, to be impartial, to do this, they're not going to do it because they're just clueless. It is not accidental that since 1991, go and do it if all the PNM lovers, go and check it. From 91 to 95, crime went up every year. Guess who was in government? 95 to 2001, crime went down every year. Guess who was not in government? 2001 to 2010, crime went up every year. Guess who was in government? 2010 to 2015, it went down again. Guess who was not in government? And from 2015 now, it has gone up every single year, apart from the part when I was Commissioner of Police, because I took control, understanding the PNM's ignorance in understanding how to secure citizens. So the US is going to tell them what to do. They will not be able to do it because they do not have the political will.
All right. Well, we spoke briefly about the crime situation and what the government is doing to try to fight crime, as well as what your party is doing. However, there has been a lot happening in regards to this Auditor General report and the Office of the Auditor General versus the Ministry of Finance. We are seeing the independence of that office coming under attack, similar to a situation that had happened with the Police Service Commission. What are your thoughts on what we're seeing unfolding here with this situation?
I will ask again, people who might be diehard PNM supporters, and it is your right, but you need to understand that today it is me, tomorrow it could be you. What this country is seeing is what is known as democratic dictatorship, where it is that there's a constitution that is so flawed, it allows a situation where one man and one man alone handpicks a president, probably who's to be the Chief Justice, the Commissioner of Police, the Chief of Defense Staff, and every arm and controls every arm in independent institutions, because he handpicks the president who handpicks these individuals. And it would have been so blatant with the Police Service Commission. You can't have a Police Service Commission that was independent or international experts who put Ella Christopher not in the top 15. And then 3 years later, a new handpicked Police Service Commission puts her first. That the individual would not have changed, and you'd have seen her performance. And therein lies the problem. The reason I state that this Auditor General situation, it is not a first, it is not an isolated situation. We have seen deliberate political interference by anyone who is independent, impartial, and will refuse to adhere to political directives because of their office. And if it is that you stand firm and said, no, you cannot force me to do this because it is wrong, you are removed. It happened with the Commissioner of Police, Gary Griffith. It happened to the Director of the SSA. It happened to the head of the Integrity Commission. It happened to the head of the Central Bank. It happened to the head of the Industrial Court. And now the Auditor General. We have also heard of the conflicts with the DPP, where they have been attacking him as well. So think about it. The Office of the Commissioner of Police, Director of the SSA, Industrial Court, Integrity Commission, Central Bank, Auditor General. When would it stop? Anyone who opposes the PNM, anyone who has a difference in opinion, anyone who will stand firm as an independent institution, you're removed. The previous Police Service Commission, they all resigned in disgust because of political interference. And nobody in the country asks about it. When that Police Service Commission resigned, nobody asked, well, why did you all resign? They resigned in disgust because a prime minister used the president's house as a post office to go and meet the head of the Police Service Commission, gave her a piece of paper signed by a citizen. He is one of 1.4 million, gave him his personal opinion about something because it was not an official report from an official body. And so any civilian could give a prime minister something. He takes that, gives that to a Police Service Commission chairman, who then breaks the law by firing a commissioner of police, suspending a commissioner of police without approval of the Police Service Commission, withdraws the merit list without the approval of the Police Service Commission, forcing them to resign in disgust. So the Auditor General situation is no different. And the audacity of the Attorney General to try to bully the Auditor General with threats and all sort of nonsense. And it gets even worse. They double down on their ignorance and their arrogance by now stating that they are going to form an investigative unit. This is what the PNM do. Anytime they want to get something done to what they want, they will hire people, pay them big money, and then the individuals will now write a report that would so happens to be something exactly conducive to what they wanted to have the public hear. It is similar to the Stanley John report. So the state paid Stanley John to do an investigation. Stanley John has no qualification or experience in law enforcement investigation. He was a judge. And then he puts a report saying it was a massive, well-oiled criminal industry. And 4 years later, as it pertains to firearms, not one person charged, not one person arrested, and the only person held, he's now going to sue the state and cost the taxpayers tens of millions of dollars, that being Brent Thomas, because of the desperation by the PNM to prove, look, we have somebody, we catch them. This is dictatorship. And they are utilizing their resources to bully persons who hold independent positions. So what is going to happen is eventually these independent positions are all going to be totally politicized. Persons who are truly independent and professional will not want to accept these positions, and the individuals who would be those who will just be political puppets of this government.
Good. Well, we want to thank you for joining us on Tobago Updates every time. You have almost become like family. We're always having these discussions. But before you go, what can we look forward to for Gary Griffith in this upcoming election year?
Well, again, the only reason I got back into this, I certainly didn't need a job. I certainly didn't need to go through all of this. There were 43 death threats on me and my family as Commissioner of Police. I have always been willing to put my life for my country. And the reason I'm getting back into politics is to make sure I can get the country to believe that politicians can actually be involved in doing something to help the country. Believe that we can turn around this country. The same way that I formed a team that was able to transform the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, I give the assurance that I will have the same capability to form a team to transform Trinidad and Tobago in every independent institution. We have been so concerned about the quality and standard of our public service. If the police service could have been transformed, we'll be able to transform every single arm of the public service and make Trinidad and Tobago the great country that it should be.
Thank you so much, Mr. Griffith. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can. All the best.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having us, guys.